Hey guys, welcome. I'm Sean Patrick Maloney. Today I'm going to go over maximizing profits, a realtor's guide to partnership with a real estate investor. Now, a lot of you real estate agents out there, you want to do more business, you want to get in the investment side to business, but you're just not sure where to start. You know that the investors spend a lot of money, but you don't know how to talk to them. You're just like, what do I do? So today in the episode, we're going to go over the do's and don'ts with investors and how to be a better realtor when it comes to being an investor-friendly realtor. The worst thing we can possibly do, I'm going to make sure to go over it. That way you guys don't burn your relationship with investors when you're not yet ready to work with an investor. So let's get started. One of the first things we want to understand is the word investor or investment. Now, every single person purchasing real estate should be doing it as an investment. Whether it's a single family home or it's a multi-family building they're going to be earning money off of, whether they're going to be living there for a primary residence or they're going to be renting it, the numbers need to work, right? The overall scenario of how much money am I borrowing versus how much money is my home worth, otherwise known as the in-between being equity, it must be there for most things to make sense. Now, sometimes with families and things like this, they're going to live at a house so long that they're not looking at short-term projections, they're looking at long-term projections. Is this a neighborhood that's going to continue to increase in growth? Is this a house that's in good shape and going to last me years? Is this a place where it has a good school system for my children? We're looking at each and every one of those investments, knowing that the house had certain costs related to it, but the investment was in the community, the long-term sustainability, so on and so forth. Whereas with an investor, depending on the type of investing they're doing, whether it be rehabbing, fix and flip type style, right? So rehab, fix and flip, maybe they're quickly marketing it back, 3-6 months turn time. Maybe they're even doing it in a month, or maybe they're buying it long term and holding, or maybe they're using the BRRRR method, right? So that's the buy, rehab, re-rent, refinance, right? So there's different strategies to investment, but one of the first things you need to do as a real estate agent to be ready to work with investors is to learn about investment, to better understand what numbers make sense and why do investors do what they do. Oftentimes people look at it when they are not used to it the same way they look at it with a mom and pop who's going out to look for a place to live. The problem is they end up suggesting properties that don't work, right? They financially do not equate to the numbers that these investors want to see. Now, as a realtor, we don't have to know the investor's numbers because every investor is going to have different builders. They're going to have different ways to borrow money. They're going to have different creative ways to earn potential off of a property. And that's why some person might not see it as a deal and another person might see it as a deal. But that said, we got to understand the core principles to what makes a good investment a good investment. So one of the things that I say to agents is the first thing you need to do to really work with investors and to understand them is to become more creative in your mind. What is the highest and best use of the property? Often in commercial real estate, we talk right about highest and best use. Whereas in residential real estate, oftentimes it goes to the idea of, well, would I live here or not? Do I like the color paint? Do I like the fenced in yard? Do I like the neighborhood? Do I like the proximity? Whereas for an investor, it could be a cardboard box that's bringing in millions of dollars, or it could be a skyscraper that needs to come down because the numbers don't work. When we're looking at things in an investment strategy, we have to look at the money and we have to follow the money to a place that works. So some examples might be, maybe you see a house, it's only 1,400 square feet. Seems a little bit steep for the price, but then you realize all the comps locally are around 2,400 square feet, meaning that you could add 1,000 square feet to the existing home and then you could sell it for maybe 900,000. Now suddenly you have something that might work, right? A square footage ad play. Everybody goes out looking at deals square and straight to what they are. They see a shopping mall, they think shopping mall. Sometimes you'll see a shopping mall and you might think offices. Other times you'll see offices and you might think these would be great residential units. You need to figure out where the market is shifting and take your investors and steer them in those directions. Show them the trends that are heading in the future. Who are some people that you could talk with? Well, one of the peoples that are least utilized is Town Hall. Town Hall knows a lot more than you think they do. One of the people there is the town manager, and the town manager is part of the town planning. So overall, most towns have projections, whether it be 20 years, 30 years out, where they kind of have invested into certain infrastructure, they've pushed the town in certain directions, and they know which way it's heading. So when an investor that's smart comes to the town and says, hey, I'm looking to make a large investment in your town, they can then know, okay, well, we're looking for more of office space or industrial space or warehousing, or we need more hotels, so we need more single family, or we need more multifamily. But one of the things that I've learned in investment is a lot of investments flop, not because the numbers don't work as far as the build, the contractor labor, as far as the purchase price. The problem becomes the town and the regulation. Can you get done what it is you're looking to get done, and how long is it going to take you? One of the most expensive things during the process of construction or any of this investment where you're empty or you're trying to figure out what to do with it is the holding cost of the time in between. So if you're working with a town that takes 6 to 12 months to book your first meeting, and it might take you as many as 2 years to pull permits for a big commercial project, that could be very cost inhibitive to certain buyers. So for those types of buyers, you might need to find them fully entitled, which means already gone through the process of getting the town hall permits and everything, but you might need to find them fully entitled land. The truth is, an investment is only as good as every single piece of it. So we have the investor, what their goals are, what they want. We have the property, what's that goal, what's the highest and best use, what does it have? And then we have the town hall. What will they allow us to do? How long are they going to take? How many different moving parts are there? And then we have the financing, right? The financing is another part. Is capital available for that type of development in that type of neighborhood, in that type of area? Are the banks lending at rates that make sense? Guys, I know it's a little more stressful than working for a residential buyer, right? Because a residential buyer, they kind of usually come pre-approved, ready to go, and they know what they can buy. We know exactly where it fits. Whereas with a lot of these investors or commercial, they're looking for opportunities and they're looking to you to be more of a real estate professional. They're not looking to you to be a friend to go out and look with them. They're looking for you to go high and low, not just on the MLS. A big, huge mistake lots of agents make is they meet a new investor, and the first thing they do is they send them one day on market properties as if they're a residential buyer. Why did you send it? What was your idea that you sent it for? What can be done? Where is the margin? How can I make any profit? And what makes you send it right away? Now, oftentimes when I'm looking for investors, I can't say a one day on market's not a good investment because there's tons of those and you don't want to miss deals. But oftentimes where we find deals is through creativity. So the 60-day, 120-day, 360-day on market, the expired that never came back on, all the different things that you could work with are important to show that investor. And that's why working with investors, it's very, 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 I can't say it enough times, very important to work under a buyer agency agreement, because with investors, remember, they're ruthless business people looking to make money off of the real estate and the money in between. If you're a realtor or a real estate agent stupid enough to not sign a contract with an investor and expect to get paid when you're trying to shop for off-market deals, shame on you. Never trust any of them. Not saying they're not good people, not saying that it isn't a good business, but at the end of the day, it's business and contracts are contracts. Any real buyer that is okay with working with you should be okay with at least a buyer agency agreement for each and every single property you show. Even if they're not willing to do a long-term sustainable one for months, every time you send them a property, that way you don't get worked out of the deal, especially if it's not on the MLS and not offering cooperating compensation, because you want to be upfront about what are you getting paid, because there's absolutely no reason to do real estate if you're not going to get paid. And guys, again, business people, they're not doing it to hurt your feelings. They're not doing it as an attack on you. You didn't supply them with the contract. You didn't tell them what you cost, and the numbers made sense without you. So be very careful of that. Again, don't send them property without getting secured by an agreement that states how you're going to work together. Now, if they're hesitant about that, they're probably hesitant about paying you. So don't be too concerned if you can't land every single deal. Now let's jump in a little bit about sending property. This is one place I really want you to be careful. Don't just go robo-sending property to investors. If they're okay with it and you want to set up certain parameters, it's in the commercial or it's in the land side and it's pretty cut and dry, you can, but be careful because investors get offended by properties that don't make sense. Personally, myself, what I tend to do is I set up a property account for them, and then each and every property I see that fits their needs, which I check daily, I drop into their inbox. I send it over to them and we check it out because I don't want them to think through my auto-populated searches that I don't understand numbers, that I don't not get what works, because whatever reason, when investors feel that way, they feel like you're just worried about your paycheck, which is the connotation made a lot of times about real estate agents. You need to be able to provide people with things above and beyond just the base level services so they realize I'm not just here to earn my commissions. It's great, that's how I do get paid, but I'm here to service you and I'm here to make sure that your needs are met, and I'm sure that you would not want to work alone because I'm going to personally make sure we get you the best deal possible. We're going to buy this house for the least amount of money possible. I'm going to make the headaches go away. I'm going to give you all this top level service, and that's why we're working together. Guys, investors are out there and they're looking for realtors that know how to work with them, but often they avoid realtors because of the connotations and the things we do. Learn to work better with investors and they'll be more working with you. One thing I've learned in working with investors is they all know each other. And once they find a realtor that knows how to work with them, they hold you close. They really like you. So the more of them that you can meet, the better. I would recommend doing some reverse prospecting. I know a lot of us spend time doing cold calling, emails, mail marketing, things like that to direct sellers and buyers, but think construction companies, think investment firms, think the different people who are out there as real estate investors and market to them as well. Because remember, if we find one buyer or one seller, that's great. But if we find an investor, we might find a buyer and seller for life who continues to buy and sell properties as long as the number works as many times as possible. Investors are a very lucrative business, but you need to make sure to respect the numbers. You need to make sure to respect not sending them things that waste their time. And also get used to, you're not going to get a paycheck every single time. Not every single place that you show an investor is going to work out. So don't get mad. Don't think of it as wasting time. Think about it as an investment of your time into an investment with the investor for a long-term investment in real estate. Because again, you need to invest your time into the investor so they can invest their money into the investment so that you can sell that investment and again continue to repeat that cycle time and time again. Investors are great clients. You just got to make sure to work with them the way they wish to be worked with. Guys, I really appreciate you watching this week's episode. Sorry I wasn't able to make it happen yesterday. Had a thing pop up with my car. I will make sure to be live next Thursday and I'll see you there. Thanks again. If you guys haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe. Pound that bell button. Helps me with algorithm. Helps me grow. And I really appreciate you. Check out Real Facts on realestate.com for more great free information, including our blog and also our podcast. Thanks so much, and I look forward to talking to you next week.